We have hawks and eagles and falcons. Falconry traditionally is where you would take a young bird, a first-year bird from the wild, train it to hunt, work with it, and then release it at the end of the season back into the wild. Nowadays are captive bred, so they can't be released back into the wild legally, but there's still that expectation of training it to do what it does in the wild.
There's 3 species of red tails there, which are native to here. This is a Barbary Saker. So it's a hybrid falcon. We're just in the business of displacing nuisance wildlife in a green, effective way. These birds that we use, many are trained not to be hunters, some are. So you have to mix things up. Animals need variables. So if you put the same plastic owl up within a few weeks, the birds know that owl's plastic. But a falcon flying around or a hawk flying around continuously disturbing their efforts to eat is enough to keep them basically at bay. So like when we do resort work, for instance, we're there just during the times of the day that people are out enjoying lunch and breakfast and having a good time. When we're not there, the birds are free to do whatever they want. They just get so food aggressive that they want to get up and take food from people because there it is, you know. So putting the hawks in the area just deters that. A lot of stuff's protected. You can't, there's no pest control company that can really legally take some of these species of birds, so you're sort of forced to live with it. And this is the middle ground that the government's allowed people to get some kind of relief against it, is to use a trained raptor, which they normally would chase prey in the wild. So we just sort of tailor it to not be so much of a fly, catch something, eat it, more like scare and deter them.
And just talking about falconry, it's not obviously just falcons, right?
No, we have hawks and eagles and falcons, but yeah, falconry is just a generic term for working with birds of prey and hunting with birds of prey. So birds of prey do not make good pets. It's a very specialized kind of routine that they need. They need certain housing, certain food, the enrichment. We are going to show you a demonstration where we're flying one of the falcons, and that flight and the idea of pursuit is really important to them mentally to stay healthy. Veterinary costs are pretty high. They're susceptible to all kinds of infections like West Nile, aspergillosis. They can get E. coli and salmonella poisoning just like a person from the food not being clean. They need routine vet care just like a dog or a cat. So they get vaccinations. Some of them are microchipped. So some of our birds have bands and they're numbered, and it's registered with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So you can see the blue band on his right leg. So they're numbered and they're all registered with the state and with the federal government. We do lots of paperwork. The process to even become a falconer involves a 2-year apprenticeship with a ton of paperwork, being sponsored by a licensed falconer, more paperwork, and then anytime you receive or transfer a bird to another person, there's all kinds of paperwork that goes everywhere. So every single bird is well documented and accounted for and supervised by all kinds of people.
We're about to do what they call lure stooping. It's a traditional exercise and training for falcons. So this is an exercise program that kind of gets them in shape and in tune to the whole falconry aspect. And it's fun too, it's a game. It's a game of keep away. I have to swing this while the bird's flying around. The bird's trying to catch it from me. When he catches it, he gets paid with the reward. And he likes to do it. And this is Duncan. He's 8 years old, 9 years old. I captive bred him. He did 3 years at Wings Over the Springs, so he's an education bird. He's done 5 years protecting blueberry crops in Washington, and he currently does this kind of stuff and any kind of educational work that we do around town. He's not a hunting bird. We can train the hunting behavior out of him by substituting it with something like this.
So this activity imitates what a wild falcon would do chasing prey. So falcons hunt by going up really high in airspace and then stooping, which is coming straight down onto the prey and kind of knocking it out of the sky. So what he's trying to do is catch that lure. And that wild peregrine came by to see what is still over there, is just trying to see what this bird is doing, because this is another predator in its territory. So birds of prey are territorial. They have an area that they hunt, and different types of birds of prey can live together in kind of a same area if they're kind of hunting different prey. So they know that one is gonna compete with them and one won't.
Let's go. So he didn't catch the lure today. I didn't let him have it, so you can see him land on the glove. But 50% of the time he beats me, catches me where I get tired, my arm gets tired. So we're challenging each other. But so he's just intent to do that whole thing. But that's the same behavior that we're able to do in situations where there's nuisance birds. And it just gives relief, you know, to people that are having problems. And this is a hood. This goes back thousands of years. This is how we're able to travel. As far as like maybe pigeon control on a house, it's not gonna work. You'd have to sit out in your front yard and fly the falcon every time the pigeons landed on the roof. But when you have a vast area, you can push them back to the areas where they're not bothering anybody.
Such as a casino. I
Casino,
noticed that's a number
or you know, an airport if you've got birds landing in the middle of the day, or a landfill. See, what happens is when you have a landfill like our transfer station, it attracts a lot of birds that get very dependent on trash. And then they can carry the E. coli's and the bacteria to freshwater sources or to wherever they're roosting and raise all those bacteria levels. So a lot of people that I know in the industry protect landfills, where they'll go, instead of being 10,000 seagulls and ravens and crows rifling through the trash, there's none. But in Vegas, we don't really have a lot of agriculture. We have one landfill, which I don't think is an issue. It's usually in the area that the place is. It's locational. I'm more local based now. So we're just doing what we do around the house in Vegas. You have to kind of be living on the road to do the agriculture from job to job, kind of like construction workers, right? Go where the work is.